can have a lasting impact on a lot of different things. And the current view of the Phoenix Suns around the league right now is one that I don't think is a very good perception for the team. It was during NBA trade deadline special on ESPN yesterday, on their NBA Today coverage, that Brian Windhorst shared that the perception around the league about the Phoenix Suns is that they are excellent at talent acquisition, not so good at team building. Now, that's what people around the league say about the Phoenix Suns. Excellent at acquiring talent. Excellent at saying, hey, this really talented player, we want him, and finding a way to get that deal done. Excellent at that. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Tyus Jones, right? That's excellent talent acquisition. But maybe not so good at the team building portion. And I'm going to take Brian Windhorst's comments and the perception that the Suns have, and I'm going to try to explain it in a different way. What that comment is saying, talent acquisition versus team building, this isn't NBA 2K. This isn't fantasy basketball. You can't just acquire superstars like they're the Infinity Stones in the Avengers. That's not how it works. You have to team build. Guys have to have roles. They have to be able to perform those roles. Those roles might be different than what they're used to in other places. You have to know if that player is going to be able to handle that different role. It's personalities, it's culture, it's leadership. That's the team building stage of all of this. We have long said on this show that this team looks like they have zero leadership whatsoever. Because we've asked, where's it coming from? Who's going to be the leader that steps up? Is it Kevin Durant? They kind of tried to show him the door this week. Is it Devin Booker? I've got a long history of him not being that guy. Is it Bradley Beal? The guy you benched? James Jones? Matt Ishbia? Hasn't been here long enough. Coach Bud, who's coached 50 games with the Phoenix Suns. That's part of team building. That's one aspect of it, leadership. Culture is important. You think it's good culture that Yusuf Nurkic didn't talk to his coach for 2 months? You think it's good culture that that player then got sent to Mars? You think it's good culture that we heard it's toxic right now surrounding this team? That it was awkward at shoot-around? That's not good culture. That's another aspect of team building. All of these things matter. It isn't just ratings in a video game or stats in a box score. And trust me, I'm the first person that loves numbers. Give me advanced numbers to tell me why something is happening or why a player is good or why a player is bad. I want all the data in the world. But you also have to be able to, as a front office, take that data and look at it and also know your team, know your personnel. These are real human beings. There are feelings involved with this. And yet it feels like all of that was cast aside for the idea of chasing star power. I will steal a comment from the YouTube live stream that the Suns tried to microwave a championship team. They didn't take the recipe, follow it step by step, throw the recipe in the oven, turn it on for 30 minutes. No. They threw it in the microwave for 90 seconds and they thought they were going to look like the Denver Nuggets, that they were going to look like the Milwaukee Bucks, that they were going to look like the Boston Celtics. Recent championship caliber teams. That's what they thought that they were going to do. Why? Because they ignored all the important stuff. You had a coach not talk to a player for reportedly 2 months and then iced them to the bench. You don't have somebody that I can point to as a leader. It got so bad that Jimmy Butler was supposed to be the guy that brought leadership. Did you see the leak today that came out about what Jimmy Butler said in a meeting that he had with Pat Riley? I don't think that got leaked out of Pat Riley's side of things. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, do yourself a favor. Go look at what leaked out today about a meeting that took place between Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley and tell me that didn't leak from Jimmy Butler's side of things. That was going to be the guy that was going to save all of this. That was going to be the guy that was going to provide the alpha mentality, the leadership, the extra energy that this team needed. We said this for weeks on end. If that is who you are turning to save your franchise is not savable. The Phoenix Suns need to learn team building. They are excellent at talent acquisition. They are excellent at being able to maneuver the trade market, utilize all their assets, and try to put together a winning team. They're great at that. Do you want to know why Boston has a chance to go back-to-back? Do you want to know why Denver is still relevant after winning a championship? Maybe not at the level that they were when they won the title, but they're still in the mix. Team building, roster construction, not just stats on the back of a basketball card. I need to bring a guy in that I know provides X, Y, and Z intangibles. Basketball IQ. Think about this. Talent acquisition versus team building. You got Tyus Jones, and everybody, it was universal praise for acquiring Tyus Jones because everybody thought he was going to be priced too high for the limitations that were on Phoenix. And by the way, speaking of those limitations, file this one away for the summer. The Suns, in their trade that they made yesterday with Jusuf Nurkic, the 2 contracts that they got are non-guaranteed for next year, so they can move on from them in the offseason. Don't look now. Under the second apron, Phoenix Suns can start to aggregate salaries again in a trade, start to undo some of the limitations that are on them as a second apron team. So file that one away for the summer. When they acquired Tyus Jones, it was a welcomed addition. It was, my goodness, they got a point guard. They got one of the best point guards available in free agency. And this is the point I want to make about team building. You brought in a guy who was a great facilitator. And now, 50 games into the season, he is not facilitating the basketball. You're back to Point Booker. You're back to Bradley Beal bringing up the ball. Tyus Jones is just standing in the corner. Team building. You know what Tyus Jones is good at. You know what his skill set is. If you're going to bring him in, utilize his skill set. Intangibles matter here. And the Suns have shown they get an F in that regard. They don't know how to put together a team yet. They don't have a leader. They don't have a good culture. They are not utilizing players correctly. That stuff takes you from being a team on paper that has a bunch of talent. That makes you a championship caliber team. Now, it's not all of the reason why the team is 25-25, but if I had to tell you where I want to start the conversation of why this team is 25-25, 500 basketball, barely in the mix for the play-in tournament, that's where I'd start. I'd start with the perception that the rest of the league has, and they're right. They don't know how to team build in Phoenix. They don't know how to put together a good, well-rounded roster. They don't know how to take a guy in and say, okay, what are you good at? What are you not good at? Let's emphasize what you're good at, and let's try to avoid putting you on the floor for the things that you're bad at. Let's not ask you to do those things. We want to acquire stars like we're running an NBA 2K franchise when it's video game numbers and ratings, and you can simulate the games, and it doesn't actually matter. I've said this a lot today. There's raw human emotion with this. There's feelings. You have to establish a culture. You have to establish expectations, accountability, and not the fake accountability that we saw for Jusuf Nurkic. That doesn't count. That's bad. That's a bad example of accountability. Because you cut off your nose to spite your face there, because there were times while Jusuf Nurkic was pinned to the bench that he could have been helpful for this team. So from the top down, the team building aspect of all of this is just not there. That aspect is missing from this organization. We started the show by telling you that the Suns took a small step towards turning the car around. Our analogy has been we are going down the highway. We've been traveling at 85 miles an hour, and everybody else in the car knows that we're not really going the right direction. Everybody else is seeing all the things on the highway that we're passing, and they're like, we need to go the other way. This is not the right direction. Everybody else in the car has known it, but the person behind the wheel feels like they aren't there yet. Yesterday, instead of going 85, we dialed it back to 70. We're looking around. We're maybe starting to see the landmarks and saying, oh, this is not the direction to go. We are starting to turn the corner around. We are starting to turn the car around, go the other direction. If they are truly going to do that, team building is the next part of this. In the summer, if they seriously consider trading Kevin Durant, as they should, by the way, I think the cat's out of the bag there. Oh, that's a new one. Add that one to the list. Pandora's box, unring the bell, open up a can of worms, toothpaste back in the tube, cat out of the bag. Add them all in. We're playing bingo today with all those phrases. I think they should move on from Kevin Durant in the summer. If they do, and they open it up for everybody to bid, for everybody to put in offers, we will know if this team has fully turned the car around depending on who they bring back and how those pieces fit into what the Suns are trying to do. Team building, that is the next bridge for this team to cross. Because I've said it before, this is not a team. I'm watching a bunch of guys play pickup basketball a lot of the time. It has been a missing ingredient for this team all year long. And it really dates back to last year as well, in the second half. They're not playing team basketball. Why? Because you haven't built a team. You've put together a team like it's an NBA 2K franchise, and you're just hoping that you simulate to the end of the season and it all works out.